What's up, guys? Today on All Sports Central, I'll be going over a final prediction on South Carolina, and this is a team that is kind of hyped up for this 2019 season. I mean, there is much right for that to be so. This team's really returning a lot of talent. We're going to be going over all of that here today on South Carolina's final prediction for the 2019 season. This team last year went 7-6 in the 2018 season. And overall, I mean, South Carolina, we typically see them get right around that benchmark or a little bit higher. I mean, of course, 5 or 6 years ago, South Carolina was one of the best teams in the nation. And we really haven't seen anything much explosive out of them since then. But really this season, there is potential for that for sure. I mean, you return your top quarterback in Jay Bentley. He had 3,100 yards last season. That is an insane stat. Really, if you can even get above 2,500 yards, I'd say, that is awesome for a quarterback. 27 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. So really that ratio of touchdowns and interceptions isn't the greatest. If you could lower that interception ratio there, I think that would be very beneficial to this team for sure. They return their top running back, Rico Dowdle, so that'll be excellent as well. They lose their top wide receiver in Samuel, but their next two receivers, Edwards and Smith, are returning to this team, so that'll be great for Bentley to have most of his weapons back at least. The offense should improve this year. They were ranked 46th overall in 2018. So obviously this offense compared to most of the FBS is pretty good. They're much above average for being ranked 46th. And considering they're returning most of their offense, really I could expect a top 25 offense out of South Carolina next year. That's for sure. Their defense-wise, they return their top key linebackers, Brunson and Green. That is excellent there. They do lose their top defensive backs, Montague and Nixon. They ranked 86th overall in 2018, so that's not as great. Their defense isn't really as great as their offense is. Of course, their offense is more of a bright side. But if your defense can improve going into next season, that honestly could be the key for this team to be able to break that barrier of 9-10 wins. But really, a few keys of South Carolina being able to be a contender in 2019. Also, we're going over their schedule in a couple of minutes. And their schedule is brutal this season. It's going to be really tough. So you're going to need to get some big wins on that schedule if you're going to really make it anywhere. And I mean, also considering the SEC is very competitive. I mean, both divisions, you got to beat Alabama or you got to beat Florida, Georgia. It is very competitive in the SEC, and so for South Carolina, that it's going to be difficult for them next year. How high can this team get to? Honestly, I would not be surprised. We'll be going over this again, but I wouldn't be surprised to see them possibly break 8 to 9 wins next year. I mean, this team really has a lot of talent to go off of, and that's what's really going to be helpful to them going into next year. North Carolina and Charleston Southern, those are your two games to start off the season, and one of them's in the ACC. Both of them are at home. I think you get 2 easy wins there. But then you got Alabama in week 3. That is going to be a tough game, especially when you're having to start off the season against them. I think you have to take a loss there. I think South Carolina's this team's really going to want that game. But Alabama in the end, I think is just too good of a team, especially at the beginning of the season, to beat. Missouri and Kentucky. Missouri on the road, that'll be an interesting one for sure, but I think you get a really good win there. And then Kentucky, another very good win at home. I'm not expecting Kentucky to be as good this season as they were last year, but they'll still be a difficult team to face. Then you have to go on the road to Georgia, and so that's like your 4th game in a row that's been really difficult. And I think that you lose that one. Georgia's going to be really good next season again, and they'll be highly motivated. Same as Florida being at home. I think, honestly, I mean, the good thing is for South Carolina, most of your toughest opponents are at home. Alabama, Florida, and Clemson are among those. I mean, I think you could win. It is very possible that you could win one of those games. You could pull out a big upset. I don't really see it happening, though, right now. I mean, all of those teams are just very difficult teams to face, whether you're on the road or at home. And so for Georgia and Florida, I think you're going to take 2 losses there. So kind of coming into the second half of the season, your final 5 games, you're looking at a 4-3 record. That doesn't look too great, but really, I mean, on the bright side, you got Tennessee on the road. I think that should be that'll be a tougher win, but I think that'll still be a game that's very winnable. Vanderbilt and Appalachian State, kind of a break in there. You're going to win both of those games easily. And then Texas A&M, another brutal game on the road. That's going to probably be your signature win of the season, I think. being on the road at Texas A&M, such a difficult place to play against a team with Jimbo Fisher and a team that's very hyped up, kind of the same as South Carolina. I think that's going to be a win there. I think you're going to get a big win in that game. Then to finish off the season, then Clemson. That's another very tough one where it's like, it's a game where you want to possibly call an upset, and most South Carolina fans think that they could easily win that game with it being at home and stuff. But in the end, that Clemson team is just going to be too electric this season. That's going to be a tough one for sure. But I think, honestly, I hate to say it. 8-4, of course, for South Carolina, that is still excellent. But honestly, this schedule is absolutely brutal. I'd say this is probably one of, 2 or 3 schedules that I have seen this offseason, as difficult as it is. I'd say Texas A&M has a very difficult schedule. I honestly think South Carolina is even more difficult than that. If they could get a little bit of a break here, you got Alabama, Georgia, Florida, Clemson, Texas A&M. You could also count Missouri and Kentucky in that as well. Half of your games are absolutely brutal, and they're probably going to be against ranked teams as well. Missouri could be a little bit of an exception for that. I don't know if they'll be really ranked. But, of course, then again, they've got Kelly Bryant this season. And so Missouri could be a little bit of a threat as well. So, it's a very difficult schedule for South Carolina next season. Really, if this team I've been kind of going over this off and on, but if this team had a much easier schedule, I think that South Carolina could go on to possibly 10, 11 wins. They've got the talent there to do so, and if their defense can improve enough, this team has potential to go on to an SEC championship. But then again, once again, your schedule is very brutal this year, and so I think that's what's going to be the breaker in the end. Let me know your guys' thoughts on South Carolina in the comments below. Do you think that they'll be able to overcome those tough games? Be sure to let me know. I'll be able to get back to most of your guys' comments. Hopefully. So thanks guys again for watching. Let me know your guys' thoughts once again. Very interesting team here in South Carolina. We're going over our college football and NFL previews right now. And as we are in early August right now, the season is coming up on us quite quickly. So I'd say we probably have a week or 2 left of previews. Once again, thank you guys all for watching, and stay tuned for more from All Sports Central.